Take a little pressure off. So that was green, that nice red. What does that do? I'm part of it. Anybody else? But I'm having fun. Have you been to this meetings here? Yeah, we have been to live. I sure wish we could have it here. It's much more sense. Actually. Faster. When I sent you there's another email with that I lost and I talked to Lisa Mabry Williams, who's in personnel, asked what the process was going to be, whether they were looking for a recommendation from this committee or not, and she said she I'll print out copies of all this waste of paper. Hey, yeah, just go there. How you doing, buddy? Good. Give me 3 days. No. There's a man that would know. How are you? I'm fine. Very good. I think we were just talking about the process for.
Yep, I've got
hiring.
Yep, I've got a document to hand out and talk through.
Good.
At the end, whenever we're ready.
Good. I was just telling them, I talked to Lisa, she and I exchanged emails today. I was asking her if the mayor was looking for a recommendation from this committee and what the process was going to be, and she said she'd get back to me.
Well, and I've got it ready to. I mean, I've got the process ready, lined out, ready for us to talk about and either take feedback on or agree to. And it's a process that I've run in similar searches. So.
Robbie's not going to be here.
No, sir. I talked to him earlier. He's out of town. I don't know about Fletcher.
Fletcher will be here. Better.
And I didn't think they emailed this out. Do we have people going to be on the phone? Do you know?
I don't know.
No, I'll email this out after we talk today and get it out to everybody.
What about Brett? Brett Carroll. I didn't receive any emails from anybody that said our diagram. Stephen Gage.
This room existed.
set up like an
Because you
annex.
couldn't get access without somebody else's code.
And when I was coming in here, it looked like I was going to an external exit exit door.
It's kind of handy to come in from the back and you can get in, Jack Bill.
Oh, yeah.
It's about one door, and come this way, it's about 6 doors. Questions about the matters from last meeting, which I'm asked, I'll try to do. Sure. Let's see, we're gonna get.
Correct, yeah.
That's the CIP money, they've increased the CIP money.
2022 to 2026. So yeah, that's in addition to the 150,000
Oh, in addition.
that you already get. Yeah. So it'll be two pots of money. One's the non-primary entitlements under AIP, Airport Improvement Program, and that comes from the Aviation Trust Fund. And then this other pot of money, the 295,000 that you'll get a year, that's coming out of the general fund. So
The general FAA fund,
just general treasury.
treasury, is that part of the federal?
It's part of the bipartisan infrastructure law.
Okay. But, and then we're still getting the 150.
You still get the 150, yeah. So that can be used for a wide variety of projects. It's got to be eligible and justified in accordance with the AIP handbook, but they'll let you do stuff that you may not otherwise get to do with AIP funding. So it's a little more suitable for building hangars and building apron pavement right up next to hangars and stuff like that.
So then could we use that for the second community?
Yeah, you could use it for another community hangar. The way Mary had it plugged into the CIP, she had using it to help fund the runway extension so that you can do it. The way we've got it right now showing is in 2024 for construction without taking any additional AIP funding. So for construction is 1.37 million. Yeah, the one we've got set up right now is for design, planning and environmental and survey all in 2023 at 200,000. And then coming back in 2024 doing the bidding and construction on it. And then because of that BIL money, what we have immediately following in 2025 is construction of another T-hanger apron, like what we just completed for the T-hanger. We can switch that up. We can, look at building a community hangar with that. The money for all
That additional T-hanger, that'd be to the north from the existing.
to the north of the T-hanger that was just built. That's correct. The one thing about the BIL money is, so it's all authorized and it's all appropriated. They wanted to make sure that it all got authorized and appropriated, so if a new administration comes in, he can't cancel it. So it's $295 a year. Well, for 2022 and 2023, you'll get $295 a year. You say you could get more or less in the coming years, depending on how classifications of airports change.
And what's the BIL stand for?
Bipartisan infrastructure law.
Okay.
Sorry, I ramble on with acronyms thinking everybody knows them.
Say that again, bipartisan.
Infrastructure law.
So then you think it'd be about a little over 2.5 million for the runway extension, design and construction.
A little over 1.5 million.
1.5 million.
Over 1.5 for design and construction.
And what's about, I saw in the minutes that they're going to update the runway numerals. They be changed.
They probably won't. It'll probably stick with the non-precision for now, and then, you know, if should you guys get an ILS in the future, upgrade them then, but just shifting them down to the new end. Anyway, your aiming point markings will change, and,
Oh, we're not talking about changing the 2-2.
yeah, just remarking. Oh, that's a good question. I can look into that and follow up. It'd be difficult to obtain though, just because the FAA really, you know, has their finger on who gets them and who doesn't get them.
We discussed that years ago. My recollection is faulty was that because we were so close to one month in ILS,
Very hard, yeah.
It's less likely to be here.
Yeah, plus with next gen, the continuing implementation of next gen, it's been a long time coming, but I think we're finally starting to see them roll that out. You know, eventually ILSs.
Well, they're going to go out.
Yeah, eventually. They're not, I mean, it's not any time that they have a set date on or anything like that, but ultimately, you know, your ILSs will kind of be a thing of the past, and you won't necessarily need an ILS. So with that being the case, it may be even harder to get one.
Somebody got
Not sure.
it.
And they have one. Hot Springs has one.
This airport has a RNAV approach, GPS approach. Decision made on that approach.
I was just looking at it the other day. I think for one end you've got a visibility minimum 7/8 of a mile. It's a mile.
Like 500 feet, something like
Like it's on
that.
Talking about the minimums?
Instrument approach. Yeah. Oh, that low?
it's on.
Okay.
You can get it on airnav.com.
Okay.
You can pull the procedure up.
I'm not sure. That was more out of my own curiosity. I think I put in a story.
I'm on it, so I'll let you know.
583 sound right? No, that's the LPV. Looking for
So for runway.
all the plates. I'm talking 422. Or does it matter?
I'm on 4. Looks like it's 400 feet.
That's not bad.
It's for the LPV it's 300.
So it's got to be pretty awful.
Yeah, that's the thing too. You've got
I mean, if you're not making it in at 300 feet, that's something.
12 after? 13 after?
Well, we don't have a quorum. We can't do anything. Nothing. We have, whatever we do is going to matter anyway. Oh, we don't have any authority. Just being an advisory in nature. So, I mean, if you don't mind, going on this.
Sure. Yeah.
So the T hangers north of the existing T hangers, proposed ones, they've already been approved by the FAA?
We've got them on the CIP. We haven't heard any feedback on it should be a go, especially since you're just using your entitlement money. You're not requesting any additional money. But that's not to say you couldn't change it. The only thing about that is, though, like on the AIP, you can multi-year to where you save up your entitlements for a couple years, and then do a bigger project and borrow money from the next year to complete that project, you're not able to do that with the BIL money, just because they don't know how much you're gonna get each year, or it's subject to change. For planning purposes, you know, you can assume 295 a year, but it could alter just a little bit from year to year. So they won't let you multi-year, but you can bank it up, and you know, if you wanted to, you could bank it up till 2026 and do actually your last year of money would be 2026, so you could bank that up until 2027, I believe.
So would you envision using all the, what you call it, the BIL money toward the runway extension?
So the way I've got it right now, and I can send this to you, but in 2024, when you're doing the construction of the runway extension, you basically have 1.323 million available for construction, and of that project cost, you're only looking at needing 1.23. So, or yeah, 1.233. So you'd have about 100,000 left over in 2024 that would carry over to 2025. So then in 2025, you'd have that 100,000, the 295, and then the 150 for your AIP entitlement, all to do a project with. So that shows you in 2025 having 534,000 available for construction project.
And would you mind sending it to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is Robbie? He's still got what, well, maybe a week or so on this project, or
It's going real close. And is how I think it's gonna be located in Conway?
well, you know.
This is what you were talking about, what you sent me.
Yeah, it's included in what I sent you.
Is that what you put? Oh, this is you're talking about.
Yes. I can go through the report if you guys want me to.
Why don't you do it?
So we had the final inspection on the T-hanger on the 21st. That was last Monday. It got inspected by the city as well. It's got the certificate of occupancy, and you do have people in it right now that are already leasing bays. They didn't waste any time moving in. Contractor has just a punch list of items to complete, but they're attacking it pretty aggressively. I talked to Kyle, the project manager for the contractor, earlier this week, and he said he's putting a big effort into it today, and he's going to try to get the majority of stuff knocked out today. And he said the door locks have come in, so he should be installing those this week as well. If not this week, they'll be in next week. So I think he's a little ahead of schedule on that. So everything's going good.
What's the contractor thing?
It's Frank A. Rogers Construction. They're based out of Newport, but they've got an office in Heber Spring, I think Jonesboro as well. And then the second item I have on there on the report is that capital improvement plan in your guys' packet. I've talked a lot about the BIL money already. I guess I've pretty much covered everything on the bullet points, but if you guys, I guess the only thing left on that is, and no decision has to be made today. You got plenty of time to make a decision. In fact, the FAA does want a revised CIP by March 25th. So assuming you guys meet regular time on the 24th, you can finalize it then and submit it by the 25th. But even if we don't finalize it then, it's the outbound year of the CIP, so you don't have to have a final decision made on that. But just be considering what you guys want to do for 2027, because you guys will have, if we keep the CIP how it's shown in your guys' packet, you guys will have available for a project $607,000. So
We couldn't, I think Jack had mentioned the possibility is last month of starting a new hanger with the T-hanger.
yeah, you could do the T-hanger with that. Certainly, you may also want to look at, and may be time to do joint repair or joint rehab on all the joints on the runway. Because by that time, the joint material, it may look perfectly fine today, but by the time 2027 rolls around, you're gonna be looking at, let's see, opened up in 14, didn't we? So you'll be looking at about 13 years that joint seal has been in there. The design life of that's about 10 to 12 years. So that's something you guys may also want to consider for a project. It gets pretty expensive. So you got all, you're looking at almost 100,000 feet of joint repair that you had to do. So, and that's going in there and taking out the silicone, redoing the backer rod, cleaning the joints out real good, getting a nice, fresh face on it, put new backer rod and new joint seal, and then also remarking the runway. Markings typically last about 3 to 5 years, to where they just, sometimes they'll last longer certainly, but usually the design life in the AIP handbook's about 3 to 5 years on the marking. So that may be something you guys just want to consider, but again, we don't have to make a decision today, and even, to turn this thing in March 25th, we don't have to have a project on there necessarily. And then lastly, I know we've been talking about doing an 80-20 grant for a clear span hangar out at the airport. And I went to the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics meeting in February, and they decided to increase the cap on their 80-20 grant from $250,000 to $400,000. And this is to help clients build more hangars because there's such a demand for hangars throughout the state. They see it as an opportunity to help clients and put more revenue back into the airport's pockets and put more revenue back into the state's pockets as well. The more based aircraft you have, the more fuel that gets pumped, more tax money goes to them. So they've increased their share from $250,000 to $400,000. So that's certainly something to consider. I know you guys have it on your list to build another clear span hangar with ADA money. So should
Talking about the proposed community.
Yeah, community hangar. So it should become a little help it be a little more feasible.
So that was, you said they approved at the last meeting?
Yes, that was approved at the last meeting. 250 to 400. Yeah.
Effective immediately?
Effective immediately.
Wow. So Jessica, before she left, and talked to Jerry Chisholm, got, I think, a commitment for 200,000 with the community there. So that means we might get
Yeah, he might be able to get up to 400,000. They had another really good month in January. The revenue was up over $1 million, so that was 2 months in a row that they had a revenue of over $1 million. The fiscal year that ended in June of 2021 was a really strong year for them. They were, I think, close to 11 million, and if they keep tracking the way they're tracking this year, this fiscal year could beat last year. So they're doing really good financially, and they just, like I said, they want to help airports out as best they can. So probably be in pretty good standing to get that $400,000 grant for the community hangar. And then also,
Let me ask you,
yeah.
Interrupt for a second. What would be the timing on that grant?
So
We've still got 36 on the waiting list.
So as soon as you guys are ready, we could have another conversation with Jerry and just make sure that, hey, we want to build this hangar, and want to make sure that you're favorable and on board with it. And if he says, yeah, we can start design, we can get you guys a contract to start design and bid it out.
I don't see any downside to
No, Preston's picking from a guy who needs 2 hangars.
that. Mostly fill up one of them.
Yeah.
Would it be the same size as our community hangar now?
What size is the
It's
current?
100 by 100.
By 100.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys had originally budgeted for that, but you're probably looking at about 90. Honestly, in this market, about 90 to 100 bucks a square foot for a large clear span hangar. So
We got an estimate of 6 months now from 700%.
yeah, that's probably a little on the low side. So that 400,000 from the state will kind of help pick up that overrun. I think you're probably going to be looking more like 900,000, maybe even $1 million. Luckily for you guys, you won't have a lot of site work to do since it's a site ready project. So I'd say better plan on 900,000. be on the safe side. We can have a conversation with Jerry and just make sure, everything's still good to go, but.
Why don't you do that?
Okay. And then also, since the last meeting, Michael Hutchins, he's a commissioner for the Division of Aeronautics. He's given me a call. I think he talked to Jack about this a little bit before Jack retired. But he's still interested in building an ag operations area out there. And his idea is to get a 50-50 grant. His idea is to get a 50-50 grant, and he would cover the share of the 50-50 grant, so that you guys wouldn't be out of pocket any. But what he's wanting to build is off the approach to 2-2. He's wanting to build a 80 by 60 open air hangar with a little 15 by 60 foot lean-to enclosed on the side of that. He's looking at that area where there used to be a laydown area for the construction of the airport, because it's already prepared to be flat, and the subsurface has been improved a little bit. But that also gives them good truck access from that farm road.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Who is this again?
Michael Hutchins.
I got you.
So that's what he's wanting to build. I don't know if, what he's kind of talking about capital wise for what he has to put towards this. Like I said, he's wanting to, cover the full match. But that would also include building a taxiway to give his plane access from his hangar to the parallel taxiway.
And so does he own that property, or is that?
No, he would lease that facility would be the airport's facility.
Okay.
He'd just be leasing it from you guys. So the idea is the match that he pays to cover the cost of construction, that would be taken out of his, he's just basically fronting his lease for X amount of years and whatever fuel flowage there would be.
So some of this other property that the Conway Development Corporation owns, like to the south of 2-2 and to the west of the FBO, are there restrictions? I mean, I know there are restrictions. Are there any allowances from the FAA to allow for taxiways and what have you?
Are they wanting to have access to the airfield, or is this like non-aviation development?
Non-aviation related.
Aviation development.
If the CDC wanted to do any development on their land that they own.
Yeah, you could. There are some strings attached to that, though. Obviously, whatever's built over there, you got to follow all your grant assurances from the federal government, and then also
Meaning, kind of roughly what?
you got to make sure that they're paying if it's aviation development, like hangars and stuff.
Well, or another kind of shop or a school or other hangars or whatever.
Sure. So anything that's non-aviation, the big grant assurance you got to look at is that they're paying fair market value
For the land?
for the land that they're leasing.
Oh, yeah.
They got to pay fair market value to lease.
Or what if they're buying the land?
They're buying the land, so you'll be releasing the land. You can do it, but any revenue generated off it would have to go back.
Because this land's not owned by the airport, right? This land's owned by the Conway Development Corporation. So is this land here.
I'm pretty sure the airport would own that, though.
But,
I'll double check, but
Conway Development Corporation owns 60 acres directly south of 2-2. Actually, I'm sorry. It's over here.
okay,
It's over here.
okay.
It's over here. It's not here. It's not the runway. It's between 2-2 and the road.
Two there. Okay.
So
okay.
it's like the next. If you were going to put another row of T hangars,
Mhm.
it's the land right across the fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just wondered if
So it's not owned by the airport.
it's not owned by the airport, it's owned by the Conway Development Corporation, which is
Okay.
an
Which is
economic
unrelated
development.
to the city, it's a nonprofit, but of course, its sole purpose is the city and developing.
That's right.
Sure,
That's right.
Sure. So there's not really as much strings attached. The biggest thing is, there's certain stuff you can't build, right?
If you wanted to have aviation related equipment, aviation related structures, could you build a taxiway and adjoin it to the taxiway where the hangars are?
Yeah, there are some rules that
Sure.
that do apply, because that's called a through the fence operation.
Yep.
So there are some rules that apply. A big thing is
Security, perimeter security. I guess.
yeah, perimeter security, and then I think there's also something about living arrangements. They don't. The hardest part is, you have some airports that are federally obligated airports, and you have people that want to turn it into an airport.
Right.
And where they build
Right.
residents, where they just, and so you can't have anything like that.
Gotcha.
But I think business related, as long as that business, the type of operation that they do, you know, they don't have smokestacks that are
Sure.
a.
Yeah, aviation related. I'm only thinking about aviation related because the CDC owns 58 and 78 acre plots that abut the property, and I was just thinking about, you know, if the CDC found aviation related businesses versus ammunition or non-aviation related, might there be an opportunity to develop there?
Yeah, just make sure that an airspace study is completed before the construction.
Got it. Okay.
Sure it's not.
Probably nobody in this room, except maybe you, would remember this, but years ago at the old airport, Kenny Blaylock had an operation across at the end of the runway, and just to the, I guess it would be on the south side, and he was trying to get access, and he was denied his own. You were at?
Yeah, that was kind of sticky, wasn't it?
Oh, he tried several times. He,
Oh, I can go on.
that turned into quite a situation.
Yeah, I mean, there are some rules and some stipulations. It can be done, but there are some rules and stipulations that have to be followed with it for the food fence access. But
He was living in he had a hangar,
yeah,
and he was living in the back of it, as I recall.
Still does, still
Does he
does.
really? Okay.
Had an air, finally put in an airstrip next to the place.
Rest here for me.
Greg Levacy wrecked an egg cat on that strip.
Cut across with these airplanes.
And that's a story I started to get into. One day he towed a bonanza up the street and cut. Yeah, I walked out and somebody had cut the two fences down, or cut the fence poles down so you could get the bonanza through before it came to the airport. He said, "Oh, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it." And then his guys kind of wandered off, and he said, "I thought you were going to fix it." Now his guys are mad at me because, you know, it's funny. What? Oh,
yeah. But Jeff, I'll get you some of the.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just summary. I don't want you to do a bunch of work, but just I know just thinking about, you know, we exist to develop property for city improvement, and so just
Yeah,
thinking.
absolutely.
So that you're talking about, and I'm assuming this is not a formal meeting, so I'm just piping up. But you know, somebody wants to put in a flight school, a maintenance school,
Another maintenance school, you know, or maintenance school is kind of what I was thinking, or you know, something that would better the airport community, but would also improve our city. You know,
Yeah,
but aviation related.
and you're willing to put a big circle around that. And aviation related.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that project.
And I think that's what Michael Hutchins was trying to get at. Like, hey, you guys, the city won't, or the airport won't be out of pocket, and you'll just be giving up your 50/50 state grant for that year, and he'll cover the rest. And then the revenue you would generate off his lease would just go right to paying the share of that grant. But I just did a calculation on it, and a real quick calculation. I haven't had time to really go back there and just, you know, double check everything. But I'm looking at about $700,000 for total project. And so, you know, take 200,000 off that for the state grant. I don't know what he's willing to pony up for that, but I'll sharpen up my pencil on that estimate a little bit and talk to him and make sure, hey, is this really what you're?
Because I got in, you know, I was talking about we got to measure our rules and regulations.
Yeah.
From 12 cents to 29 cents. All of a sudden, how about if we pay like 12,000?
And you can, you know, work the numbers, you know, how you want to. Just you got to make sure that, you know, you guys are probably all aware of this, but just make sure everybody's treated fair. So one guy's charging a fuel flowage fee, everybody's got to be charged that fuel flowage fee. Now, if you want to figure out, okay, you're probably going to, you know, burn this many gallons a year, and 12% of that is this much. Okay, I'm going to put that into what I'm fronting you guys to make this project happen. In addition to the lease I'm fronting you guys. You got to be careful just to make sure everything adds up, but you know, it can't be done that way.
His operation benefits local farmers, so I'm sure that doesn't benefit.
And another advantage is, putting it over here, as I have it shown on the exhibit, it's, out of sight, out of mind for you guys. He's not making a mess on the ramp next to jets and whatnot. He's kind of contained. Yeah, you guys aren't making any revenue off it, but he's contained and he's got all, quick on and off. Because we also, I think he's probably thinking this would be a little cheaper than what I have it estimated at it. But, with that taxiway that you got to build from the taxiway to his place, that's quite a bit.
There's his own operation.
I'm turned around on my. Oh, yeah, anyway, so the CDC property.
Sounds out there. Okay. Yeah, he's trying to build a hangar at Hot Springs right now, and then he's also, I think he's Duval's Bluff actually. Not necessarily, there's not an airport there, but over in that area. That's my report. Like I said, I'll sharpen my pencil up on that estimate a little bit, and then get back to Michael and say, hey, this is what it's going to cost you. You willing to do this? And if he says, yeah, I'll come back to you guys and we can see if you guys want to move forward on it. That's my report, though. If you guys have any other questions about that, or
Needs to be a benefit to everyone. Does he do a good bit of business out there?
They stay pretty busy all summer. I don't know how much fuel they bring in there.
For a year now. That'll be a little few months.
Informal.
just be thinking about how you guys want to use that BIL money. If you guys are happy with this, we can sign it and send it in the FAA, or we can wait till the Washington make a decision on the outbound years or even the T hangar expansion.
So you're talking about what expansion?
Yeah,
One and a half.
I mean, I figure that project probably set in stone already. What's that?
I would hope so.
Yeah, that project's pretty much set in stone. But as far as like what you guys want to do from 2025 to 2027, we've suggested that build more T hangar apron, and then maybe get a state grant, or maybe even using the BIL money to fund it.
Makes sense to me. What you think, Jeff? So, one thing I was going to ask you about that, we're talking about extending it from 5,500 to 6,001 foot. Is that still?
Yeah, that's
Another extra 1 foot.
the 501 feet. 500 to 6,000.
5,500 to 6,001 foot.
Yep, 6,000. Yep, have that.
Why is that 1 foot important? I forgot.
Just in case, for whatever reason, the contractor built it a little short, or you're legally
6,000.
You're legally 6,000 feet.
Sure. I don't know if you guys talked to me or mentioned anything about the possibility of building small 60 by 80s. Over there by where our first couple of acres built.
Oh yeah, those.
Across, by the ditch.
Yeah, we got that surveyed for you. I forgot to mention that. We got that surveyed for you. I just need to take a look at it and make sure we got everything. And we're going to get platted out in individual plats for each hangar, so that if somebody shows up and wants to build a hangar, you can say, here's a lot you can build on. So.
And how many are we talking about?
Two that are kind of two that are spoken for, and then two that.
60 by 80? Two that are 60 by 80? First one's 60 by 80 and the other three are 60 by 60.
Yeah, but two that are kind of verbally spoken for. I mean, they've said they want them, and then two that are they're shopping around.
And I'll try to get that survey to you next week.
Shopping around as a Conway or
No,
It's in my
they're
inbox.
they're
I just need to give it a
Some
review.
folks who talk to
Make sure they got
they
it.
want it, but not real sure. Kind of, I'd just like to visit with you after about the search process, and then I'll get an email out to everybody. That's all right.
Well, it's informal meeting without a
Quorum or? Yeah. We transacted no business here today.
No decision made.
We had no authority to do that either.
Will the search process, I mean, will there be a formal vote by this committee approving the search process?
So the proposal is that we will provide the mayor with 2 to 3 qualified candidates. Proposing that we put together a search committee comprised of board members and maybe a couple others from the aviation community. Conduct a search, screen the candidates, select some finalists, interview them, and provide the mayor with 2 to 3 candidates whom we think are qualified.
Well, and the reason I ask and what I foresee is, be a newspaper article. Hey, how are they doing it? So do they submit a resume to an email address?
So the city has posted, I'll just give you what the city has posted. There's the description, and that has already begun being posted. And it's being sent to Lisa. Yep, her email address, I believe. Let's see here. To human resources at conwayarkansas.gov.
Okay.
And it's been posted on the city website, and it's been shared a lot on social media, and it's been picked up by some of the job boards and what have you.
Do you have a projected date when a hiring decision will be?
So what we're proposing, and again, this is subject to kind of at least consensus of the group, is that I'm trying to align it with monthly board meetings. So each step of the process, so that by June, the June board meeting, we're making kind of final recommendations to the mayor. So 4 months, March, April, May, June. 4 months.
Okay.
That's 4 to 6. Put it that way.
Yeah. Good deal.
All right. Appreciate it.
Anything else we want to make sure gets in the paper?